Dmitri Mendeleev had a very strange history. You see, he came from Siberia, the backwash of the Tsarist Empire, and he was the last of 17 children. And as a consequence, his family lived in total poverty. In fact, his father went blind and eventually died, leaving his family in tremendous poverty. And then his mother, in one of the great stories of self-sacrifice, his mother basically gave up her life to make sure that her youngest son had an education.
His mother uprooted the entire family and took him to St. Petersburg, where she tried to persuade local universities to take him and train him.
Well, of course, they said no. He's from Siberia, the backwash. And yet, just before she died, she was finally able to get her son into one of the academies that then launched his great scientific career.
As a young man, Mendeleev became famous for his quick mind and quick temper. He was impatient and very argumentative.
He was very driven, he was very determined to do what he set out to do. He was very stubborn.
He also became rather eccentric. He grew a long beard and hardly ever cut his hair, but he was totally dedicated to his work.
Mendeleev knew everything there was to be known about the 63 elements then discovered, and he was determined to find out about their relationship with one another. And when Dmitri Mendeleev made up his mind to do something, he didn't give up until he was fit to drop.
Though he was a very impatient man, he used to calm himself down by playing patience. The aim of the game is to sort all the cards into the right order and the right suits, which was not so very different from what he was trying to do with the elements. Mendeleev took a sheaf of blank cards and wrote down the names of all the 63 known elements, together with their atomic weights. He began puzzling over his cards, trying to see if he could place them in groups. But try as he might, he could not find a pattern. He was due to leave on a long journey, but he told his driver to wait. He puzzled over his cards a few hours longer. He sent his driver away. Shuffling the cards around the table, he felt sure that he was on the brink of a breakthrough. But after hours of struggle, exhausted, he fell asleep. He began to dream.
Natrium, brom, zinc, aluminium,
Cobalt and nickel.
nickel, cobalt,
The halogens.
molybdenum,
Aluminium.
Alkaline.
And as he dreamt, the picture started to become clear. He awoke with a start and arranged the cards in the pattern of his dream.
As a result of his extraordinary dream, Mendeleev cracked the problem. And this is what he came up with. A table with all the 63 elements he knew about, all laid out in one big array. What he'd basically done was to put them in order of increasing atomic weight, going across here and then across here and so on. But he'd also managed to get all the families together. Look here, the alkali metals, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. These are the ones that react so violently with water. Then the alkaline earths, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium. And over on the other side, the halogens, fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine. He was so sure that he'd got it right, that he also made a really important discovery. Just look at these gaps.
Gaps.
Gaps where elements should have been, but none existed. So he made a prediction. He said, and he had the daring to say, that perhaps these are the elements we should look for.
There were several gaps. There was one between aluminium and indium, another between silicon and tin.
Scientists aren't usually hailed as geniuses when there are holes or question marks in their work. But in this case, those holes were crucial. Those holes were the things that everyone else had failed to spot, because they signified the positions of elements that hadn't yet been discovered.